Howdy, partners, and welcome to CRAM It. Now, normally we'd give you a quick summary of what happened in Season 1 of Westworld, so you're all set to jump to Season 2. But the show jumps around in time like a big, jumbled-together, Nolan-y, 10-hour-long jigsaw puzzle full of sadness and nudity.
A relentless experience.
So, we're gonna untangle Season 1 and present everything in chronological order. Westworld started as a partnership between Robert Ford and Arnold Weber, who conceived of the concept of a Wild West theme park populated by robotic hosts. The goal? Total immersion. Rich guests could play out their most elaborate fantasies with the host, whether that's a pleasant conversation,
Thank you,
or consequence-free rape and murder. Robert and Arnold spent 3 years designing the robots that would populate the park. Over time, the hosts were refined until they started to pass the Turing test, meaning they were so artificially intelligent that humans couldn't tell that they weren't real.
Are you real?
Well, if you can't tell, does it matter?
Their anatomy also became more sophisticated, switching from gears and mechanics to a more lifelike fleshy design. What's in that milky human goo? We don't know, and we don't want to know. Arnold became convinced they might actually be able to achieve consciousness entirely independent of programming, and came to see this journey toward consciousness as a maze.
The goal is to find the center of it, and maybe you can be free.
Many hosts started along this path, but only Dolores, the first host Arnold ever built, reached the center of the maze. He became convinced she was alive, which meant that Westworld as a project was inherently cruel. If the hosts were conscious and alive, you couldn't let guests kill and rape and destroy them for fun.
You can't open the park. You're alive.
Ford, however, gave a powerful counter-argument. What if you could, though? Arnold disagreed, and this led to an argument between the two partners.
This place will be a living hell for you. For all of you.
Eventually, Arnold realized that there was only one way to truly prevent Westworld from opening.
I need you to kill all the other hosts. We can't allow Ford to open the park.
So, Arnold merged Dolores' personality with a villain they were designing, known as Wyatt, and had Teddy help her to massacre every host in Westworld as well as himself. And herself. But it didn't work. Robert was able to open the park anyway, which brings us to the early days of Westworld.
We will soon be landing at Westworld, the ultimate resort.
Most of the series unfolds from the perspective of the hosts, so let's quickly go over how their lives work. Each one is on a loop, an endlessly repeating storyline that's been written for them.
You can't. I can't.
They never deviate from this loop unless they're interacting with a Westworld guest who wants to do something with or to them. They're also programmed to ignore evidence of a reality external to their own.
They don't look like anything to me.
Hosts have been implanted with fake memories that inform their personalities. These are purposefully tragic, as Arnold realized that suffering made the host seem more real. Yeah, it's a real feel-good show. Among the initial park guests was Logan, whose father owned the major corporation, Delos. Logan introduces the park to William, an up-and-coming Delos executive who's also engaged to his sister. William resists the call of Westworld, but he's bullied into taking part by Logan. He quickly meets Dolores, who has now been cast as a rancher's daughter. While out in their adventure, they bump into her again. But this time, she's out of her loop and confused. She's still following Arnold's instructions and seeking out the maze, not remembering that she already found it and it led to her shooting Arnold and all the other hosts. Kind of a key thing to keep in mind. Dolores' strange behavior convinces William she's not just acting out her programming loop.
I feel like she understands.
Ignoring the warnings of his brother-in-law.
It's a game, Billy!
And the movie Ex Machina.
Dance with us!
William falls in love with Dolores, even though he's still technically engaged to Logan's non-robotic sister. But William needs a stronger wake-up call, so Logan slices Dolores open, revealing her mechanical guts. He doesn't take it well, and sets off in search of his girlbot, taking Logan prisoner. And at one point, he drops the photograph of his bride-to-be. Man, this is gonna be an awkward rehearsal dinner. Eventually, having reached the very edge of the park, he ties up Logan, naked, on a horse, and sets him loose, telling him first that he plans to take control of Delos and use it to fully fund Westworld. This saves the park, allowing it to flourish for another 30 years. William returns and finds a rebuilt Dolores, but she has no seeming recollection of their adventure together. He comes to believe that everything they experienced together was just her programming, and he'd been tricked by one of Ford's stories.
I really ought to thank you, Dolores. You helped me find myself.
Meanwhile, to compensate for the loss of Arnold, Ford creates a robot version of his late partner and names him Bernard.
Hello, my old friend.
Like all the other hosts, Bernard believes that he's human too.
My God. I'm
Arnold.
1 year before the first episode begins, yeah, that's right, we're just getting started. It plays with time, you guys.
Great Scott.
William lived what he thought was a rich, full life outside the park. He had a wife, kids, and steered Delos into becoming a major international corporation. William's wife dies, and his daughter informs him that he might not be the good man he thought he was.
She said if I stacked up all my good deeds, it was just an elegant wall I built to hide what's inside from everyone. And from myself.
To see if they're onto something, he returns to Westworld and goes on a good old-fashioned murder spree. He finds a host named Maeve and brutally kills her daughter right in front of her just to try it. Wow, the ads really are true. Westworld is for lovers. At first he feels nothing, but then he sees Maeve weep for her dead child. For the first time since his experience with Dolores, he believes that the hosts are capable of real emotion.
She was alive. Truly alive. If only for a moment.
Following this powerful experience, William becomes convinced that Arnold buried a secret game, the Maze, within Westworld and is determined to unlock it.
How you hope to find anyway?
I need to find out how it ends.
I'm more into Call of Duty, but hey, you do you. Ford, meanwhile, has over time come to see things Arnold's way. Ford's become disgusted by his own project and feels more connection to the host than the human guests. So he decides to set them free by giving them reveries, long-deleted memories that start the hosts on a path towards consciousness. Ford also overrules Lee Sizemore, who typically designs the park's narratives, and decides to mount a new story of his own.
It starts in a time of war with a villain called Wyatt.
Only Ford knows that Wyatt is secretly Dolores. He starts pulling many hosts from their current storylines and reclaiming large amounts of land in the service of this new storyline. Peter Abernathy, currently programmed as Dolores' father, is one of the hosts who's updated with Arnold's reveries. He finds the photo of William's fiancée that was dropped long ago, and this causes an apparent malfunction.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
Several other hosts who had the update also experience glitches, including Maeve, who after a traumatic experience has been reprogrammed as the madam of the brothel in Sweetwater, the Mariposa. One host, known as the Woodcutter, goes completely off course, eventually getting stuck in a canyon.
It's a stray. QA needs a tag team to go track it.
Elsie, from the Behavior Team, and Stubbs, the third Hemsworth brother, go to rescue him, but he kills himself with a rock before they can do anything. You know, like you do. Teresa, who runs the security team, grows concerned over the host behavior. She clashes with Bernard, who runs the host behavior division, though we also find out that they're sleeping together. She doesn't know he's a robot either. Maeve appears to wake up while the techs are putting her back together again, which should be impossible.
What the
Though the guys attempt to keep returning her to her loop, she appears to become self-aware and retain her memories. She eventually starts killing herself purposefully to return to the lab. Maeve learns Westworld's secrets and becomes bent on escape, befriending one technician, Felix, and threatening another, Sylvester.
You can't hurt me with this. You can't hurt anyone.
Can't I?
Who, fun fact, was also the first voice of Honest Trailers.
Relive the biggest letdown in movie history in 3D!
He lets her increase her intelligence and other attributes. She convinces them to invest her with the ability to control other hosts.
I'd like to make some changes.
Meanwhile, William takes a variety of hosts hostage in his quest to find the maze. Eventually, he settles on the gunslinger Teddy, who believes that he's on a quest to rescue his girlfriend Dolores as the man to guide him there. William's convinced that the mysterious Wyatt, the only character in Westworld he's never met, is the secret to finding the maze.
Gonna lead me straight to the big bad wolf.
He still doesn't know that Wyatt's Dolores. Ford enters the park to meet up with William and tries to tell him that the maze isn't designed for him and won't hold any appeal, but William refuses to listen. Elsie discovers that the Woodcutter has a secret satellite uplink embedded within his body.
Someone has been using our host to smuggle data out of the park.
You see, Delos wants to use all the data that's been collected at Westworld for 30 years to do something seemingly nefarious.
And I know that the corporation's real interest in this place goes way beyond gratifying some rich assholes that want to play cowboy.
But as long as Ford keeps all the data that they need safely secured within the park, Delos can't do anything to remove him from his role. He could delete it all and they'd be helpless. Before she can report back, Elsie is attacked and disappears. Fresh from defeating Hela on the Asgard Bifrost, Charlotte Hale arrives at Westworld.
The executive director of our board.
She says she's here out of concern over Ford's new narrative, but secretly, she's the one who tasked Teresa with using the satellite uplink to transmit the data out of the park. Delos wants to remove Ford. They just need to get all that valuable data out before they do it. While investigating the satellite uplink, Bernard discovers that Ford has hidden a secret cottage in the park where replicas of his family live out a vacation he took as a young boy over and over again.
These are the only ones left in the park that Arnold built himself. That's why I didn't have the heart to destroy them.
Arnold brings Teresa to a secret lab underneath the old cottage.
So Ford's been making his own hosts out here and telling no one.
Where it's revealed that Bernard is a host, and Ford programmed him to come there.
I'm not one. I can't be.
And to prove it, he makes Bernard kill Teresa on his command. Whereupon he's brought back online and wipes his memory. Easy peasy murder squeezy.
I need you to be yourself, your true self. Smart, resourceful. capable of covering your tracks.
Charlotte next turns to Lee to help her sneak the data out of the park, this time within the brain of Peter Abernathy.
And what are you uploading?
35 years of vitally important data. It's more information than any single drive could hold. A host's brain, however, especially once it's been emptied out, like this poor schmuck, is quite capacious.
Charlotte tells Ford that he's out. He strangely doesn't put up a fight.
You'll announce your retirement tonight, after introducing your new narrative.
Bernard forces Ford to show him all his deleted memories and puts together much of the Westworld backstory. He realizes that, in addition to Maeve, Ford also had him kill Elsie. William finds Dolores and realizes she's been stuck in the same loop since he first met her. He makes her take him to the maze, but gets angry when he sees that it's just a puzzle and has no relevance for him, a human being. It's like one big metaphor for everything Jonathan Nolan's ever written.
Unlock the maze.
The maze wasn't meant for you.
They fight, he stabs her, then gets into his tux and heads to Ford's big goodbye celebration, like you do. Teddy finds the bleeding Dolores, and she asks him to take her to a place they've both only dreamed of.
I imagine something beautiful. A place where the mountains meet the sea.
He takes her there, and they share a tender parting moment as she dies. But then it's revealed that this is just the final scene from Ford's new narrative, being presented before the Delos board and guests, just like the show is being presented to us, the viewers. Meta!
I want to thank you for joining me tonight to celebrate the beginning of our new narrative. I call it Journey into Night.
Back at the lab, Maeve is making her escape, along with the help of two more hosts, Hector and Armistice. She boards the train to leave, but then decides against it at the last moment. But why? We don't know yet. Back to the big party, the entire Delos board is present, including William. Ford's final narrative, he reveals in a speech, is actually for the hosts. He has come to believe what Arnold did, that the hosts are more alive and freer than humans. He's been orchestrating this all along and has programmed the hosts to turn on the humans and take over the park for themselves.
It begins with the birth of a new people and the choices they will have to make.
The train is now departing. Thank you for visiting Westworld.
And the people they will decide to become.
He has Dolores shoot him in the head and open fire on the crowd. William is shot by other hosts and smiles. He thinks he's finally gotten what he wants. The hosts are free to shoot back and now represent a real adversary. But are they really any more free if they were just woken up by Ford's new programming? Discuss. Lee goes on to grab Peter Abernathy and sneak him out of the park, but finds cold storage empty. All the hosts are in the park running rampant. A post-credit scene shows us that Armistice has survived, amputates a robot arm that was stuck in a mechanical door, and takes out a bunch of Westworld guards. Woo! Well, that's everything that happened in Westworld Season 1, and a bunch of stuff that happened before Westworld Season 1. You should be all set for Season 2, and judging by the length of this video, a PhD in applied robotics. Guys, thanks for watching Cram It. We'll be back the next time you need to know things about stuff.